Welcome again to Grammar 3 course. In this video, we will continue our discussion of clauses, and we are going to explore the structure and function of noun clauses in English grammar. A noun clause is a type of dependent clause that performs the same grammatical functions as a noun. As shown on the slide, it contains both a subject and a verb, yet it cannot stand alone as a complete sentence. Because of this, it must attach to an independent clause for the sentence to be meaningful. For example, in the sentence, "I know who wrote the letter," the clause "who wrote the letter" functions as the direct object of the verb know. Noun clauses can fulfill multiple roles in a sentence, including subject, direct object, indirect object, predicate nominative, and object of a preposition. Noun clauses are introduced by specific words that signal their dependent status. You will notice three major categories on the slide. First, relative pronouns such as who, what, where, when, why, and how, as well as that and which. In the example, "I know what you mean," the word what introduces the clause. Second, indefinite relative pronouns, including whoever, whomever, whatever, and whichever. These pronouns introduce clauses that often express general or unspecified reference. For example, whoever arrives first will get the best seat. Finally, subordinating conjunctions like if and whether also introduce noun clauses, as illustrated in the sentence, "I don't know whether he will come." A noun clause may function as the subject of a sentence, performing the action of the verb. Examples include, "Whoever wins the race gets the trophy," and "What you said made sense to me." To determine whether a clause is functioning as a subject, we can apply the pronoun substitution test. If we replace the clause with a pronoun, such as it, and the sentence remains grammatical, the clause is functioning as a subject. The structural analyses on the slide illustrate how the clause occupies the subject position before the verb. Noun clauses can also serve as direct objects, receiving the action of the verb. For instance, "I couldn't see whether it was day or night," and "Do you know how dynamite is made?" Again, the pronoun test helps. Replacing the clause with it or that typically preserves sentence structure, indicating that the clause is functioning as an object. The examples on the slide show how the entire clause depends on the verb and answers the question what or whom. Noun clauses can also function as indirect objects, receiving the direct object in the sentence. Examples include, "She told whoever would listen her sad story," and "I gave whoever asked a copy of the notes." The pattern to look for is subject, verb, indirect object, direct object. The noun clause answers the question to whom or for whom. The structural diagrams on the slide clearly illustrate this relationship. Noun clauses also appear as predicate nominatives, occurring after a linking verb and identifying or renaming the subject. Examples include, "This is what you wanted," and "His difficulty is that he cannot read." A helpful diagnostic is the equals test. If the subject and the clause can be conceptually equated, it is functioning as a predicate nominative. The diagrams on the slide demonstrate this structure clearly. Noun clauses may also function as objects of prepositions, completing the meaning of a prepositional phrase. Examples include, "Our suspect depends on who owns the murder weapon," and "I'm interested in how they solved the problem." To identify this function, look for the structure preposition plus noun clause. The examples on the slide highlight this pattern. To summarize, identifying noun clauses involves 4 key steps. 1. Look for structure. The clause must contain a subject and verb but cannot stand alone. 2. Use the pronoun test. Substituting it or he, she can help determine whether it functions as a noun. 3. Determine the function. Noun clauses may serve as subjects, objects, predicate nominatives, or objects of prepositions. 4. Recognize introductory words, such as who, what, where, that, whether, or whatever. Understanding these principles allows us to analyze noun clauses accurately within complex sentences.